What is up, guys? It is Brady here with Blitz Sports Media. Dropped a mock draft about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Obviously, we've got some more storylines along the NFL. We've got a little bit more clarity, maybe, on what teams are trying to do. Could be getting some smoke screens, but wanted to get into this one more time here. We're going to be in the draft. For those of you that have not heard or seen the news, we will be at the draft in Green Bay. We will be on site, and we are very excited for that. We will also have a Blitz Sports Media live stream going for the draft that will be hosted by some of our other Blitz Sports Media employees. So definitely excited to get into that. And without further ado, let's get into this mock draft. So we're going to be using PFF. Obviously, we're going to be selecting all teams. And we're going to be doing a 2-round mock draft. Now we look at the settings, public versus PFF board. We're going to put it right in the middle for that. Care for positional value. I feel like that is we'll put it right here. And then we'll put draft for needs just a notch above care for positional value. Randomness, obviously, we're the only people controlling the teams. So that doesn't really matter. And let's get into it. So I think that the first few picks are really kind of set in stone. The first one is going to be Cam Ward to the Tennessee Titans. Ward's going number 1. Travis Hunter is going number 2 to the Browns. And Abdul Carter is going number 3 to the New York Giants. And as a Patriots fan, it pains me to admit this, but I think they're going with Will Campbell. Will Campbell is a really good tackle. There are concerns that he could be moving to guard in his career. I would like a wide receiver for Drake May as a Patriots fan. I would love Ted McMillan. I want to pencil him in, but I just don't think that that is going to be the pick that the Patriots go with. They've got a lot of guys in the building that love Will Campbell. He seems like a Mike Vrabel, gritty type of guy, maybe a franchise cornerstone to anchor that offensive line that was so horrible last year. So regardless of my thoughts on it, I think the Patriots are going to go with Will Campbell at number 4. I think number 5, I think a lot of this top 10 is pretty easy to me. And the Jaguars, obviously, defensive interior is a need for them. Wide receiver is listed as a need, but they've got BTJ. I doubt they use their first-round pick back-to-back years, especially when their defense was so poor. I think that it's going to be Mason Graham. I think Mason Graham is going to be the pick here at number 5. And then running back, you see it, top need. I think the Raiders are going with Ashton Jeanty here. Ashton Jeanty is going to be joining Geno Smith, Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers. We've got a nice little squad building over there in Vegas, especially if the O-line blocks for Jeanty. That's where he's going now. Now the Jets, I think they're going tackle here. I've seen some people wondering maybe they go with Will Johnson. Maybe they go with some DB, either him or Jahdae Barron. But I think that they're going to go tackle here, and they're sort of in a similar position to the Patriots when you consider Will Johnson versus a tackle. And that's Patriots, the Jets. They both have a young all-pro level cornerback. They both got a first-year defensive guy, a head coach, but they also both had horrible offensive lines last year. I think Armand Membu is going to be pick number 7 to the New York Jets, and that leaves number 8. Panthers, they've got some work to do on the defensive side of the ball, but I think they're going to focus on helping Bryce Young out. They really want to know, is Bryce Young the guy? They went with Xavier Legette last year as their first-round pick. They want to keep building the offense, and I think it's going to be Ted McMillan out of Arizona at number 8. He is going to be, depending on how you count Travis Hunter, the first wide receiver off the board, the first true wide receiver off the board. If you want to include Travis, he's number 2 wide out off the board. Now for the New Orleans Saints. They've got running back needs. They've got wide receiver needs. They've got D-line needs. But now with the Derek Carr news, they've got a quarterback need. I don't think that they're going with Spencer Rattler. You've heard some rumors about Shedeur to the Saints. Maybe it's a smokescreen. I think this is where he goes right now. I think he's going to stay in black and gold, and he's going to be a New Orleans Saint. He's going to end up being a top 10 pick, and a lot of it could be due to just the Derek Carr news and the injury and all of that. But I think Shedeur Sanders at number 9 to the Saints makes a lot of sense. Now, the Bears, they've got a lot of flexibility here in what they can do. They could go for a running back like Amarian Hampton, maybe even Travion Henderson, who's getting a lot of first-round whisperings, which personally, I don't know. We'll see what we end up doing here later on in this mock, but they could go with the D-line. They could shore up the D-line. They could get an edge guy. They could get a safety, but I think they're going to go with Malachi Starks here. I think they're going to go with Starks into that back end. He'll be in there with Kyler Gordon and Jalen Johnson and all those guys. They've loaded up some offense the past offseason or two. They built up the O-line this offseason. I could go Amari and Hampton. I feel like 10's a little early for him, though. And I think they go with Malachi Starks, who is an elite run defender, very, very fast, needs some work in pass coverage, but I think that's where they go with in Chicago, even with the offensive minded head coach. Now for the 49ers, I think this one is easy. And I don't know how he's so low on the board, but Will Johnson, they need a corner. They just lost Javarius Ward. They've got Deommodore Lenoir. I think they're going with Will Johnson here, though, on the outside in San Francisco at pick number 11. Now for the Cowboys, I think the Cowboys are going wide receiver here. This could be Amari and Hampton. I don't see it, though. I think that this is going to be Matthew Golden to pair, keep him in Texas. I had this in my last mock as a pick 2. Some of these picks are going to be the same, but Matthew Golden at 12 to the Cowboys, third wide receiver off the board to help CD Lamb out. They don't have Brandon Cooks anymore, and they need some help at wide receiver big time. In a semi-deep wide receiver class, I still think they're going with a Golden. There's been a lot of discourse of, is he really a 4.29 guy? Maybe not, but if he's not, he's a 4.35 guy, which really, really plays on the outside if you want to utilize CD in the slot. Now for the Miami Dolphins, I think that we could be seeing a tackle here. Could get a D lineman, could get a corner. I kind of see Jahdae Barron here, but I think that this could be Josh Simmons. I think Josh Simmons, they need a tackle. They just lost Teron Armstead, who retired. I think it could be Josh Simmons. He's got some concerns with that patellar tendon injury, but I think that's who we go with at 13. Leaving another pretty easy pick here for the Colts. They need a tight end desperately. You see it at the top of their needs. It's going to be Tyler Warren, who really, to me, is in my top 5 on the big board. I think he's a great player. There's not a ton of tight end need early on, though. He falls to the Colts at 14. Now for the Atlanta Falcons, they need an edge or a linebacker, anybody on the defensive end. I could see Jahad Campbell. Let's put in edge and linebacker as our filters here. And I have an idea of who this could be. This is tough. So Jalen Walker down here is 19 ADP. Mike Green, 15 ADP. Jahad Campbell, 16 ADP. Right next to each other on the big board. I think the Falcons got to go for this explosive edge. They had a really, really bad pass rush win rate last year, really bad pressure percentage. I think it's Mike Green. I think Mike Green at 15 to the Falcons makes a lot of sense. Now for the Arizona Cardinals, there's not really a guard worth drafting at 16. We take a look at the defensive interior and at corner even. You could get Jahdae Barron here at 16, but I think it's going to be Kenneth Grant. I think they're going to get somebody, a big run stuffer, a really, really well-rounded interior defender in Kenneth Grant. I think that's where he goes at 16. Now for the Bengals, you can go defensive interior or linebacker here as well. And I'm still working under the assumption that they keep Trey Hendrickson. They figure out how to deal with Trey Hendrickson. I think that is what's going to happen here this offseason. You got Walter Nolan, who's, I think he's going to fall down the board a little bit with these character concerns they talk about. Could go Jahad Campbell. Could go Jalen Walker here. It's tough. I think they go with Jahad Campbell, though. I think Campbell is the pick here at 17 for the Bengals. And I think the very next pick is going to be another linebacker. I think that it will be Jalen Walker. Jalen Walker just strikes me as a type of player who fits into a Mike Macdonald defense really, really well. I think Macdonald can use him, use his speed, especially with Ernest Jones at linebacker over there, too. In Seattle, the two of those guys at linebacker could create a lot of problems with a team that has a young, good secondary, still trying to bulk up the D-line a little bit. But Jalen Walker can rush the passer. He works as an edge, too. I think that's the pick there for Seattle. Now for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think this is where Jahdae Barron goes. I think Barron, the Bucs needed DB. They kind of got exposed there the back half of the season in the secondary, especially against Washington. Jamel Dean's getting a little bit older. We're not exactly sure about Zion McCollum. They need a corner, and I think it's going to be Jahdae Barron. And maybe later on, Jahdae Barron shifts over to safety, but I think he's going to be a good corner. He's going at number 19. Now for the Broncos. Broncos have a few different options here. They can go wide receiver, they can go tight end, they can go running back. I think they're certainly going offense here. You got Luther Burden. He's an exciting choice, but in the offense they run, you could kind of use a more physical guy in that slot Y type of role. Could go Colston Loveland. But I think that this is where Amari and Hampton goes. The Broncos need a running back, and I know they had Javonte Williams, who's another UNC guy, but I think that this could be Amari and Hampton right here at number 22, the Denver Broncos. Now, for the Pittsburgh Steelers, is it going to be Aaron Rodgers? Are they going with him? Are they going with a tackle? Let's check out what tackles we have available here What running backs we have available? Running back, tackle, safety. What do they do here? That's the question. They got Mason Rudolph on the roster already. You could be bringing in Rodgers. Neither of those are young guys. Neither of those are really the future of your team. Are they going to go for Jackson Dart at 21? I don't think so. Could they trade down? Who's interested in trading for the pick here? Let's see. The Browns. Oh man. Let's see. What kind of package could we get together for the Browns? 33 and 67 from Cleveland for 21. I think this is what we're doing. I think we're going to get the Browns here at pick 21. They're trading with their division rivals, and the Browns are on the clock now at 21. So we already picked Travis Hunter, QB. I don't think they're going with running back or a wide receiver. Who do we like here? This could be a Travion Henderson pick. I don't think so, though. I think that this is going to be... Yeah, I think that this is where Emeka Egbuka goes. He fits. You got Egbuka and Travis Hunter now. You pretty much got two receivers coming in. You got a corner coming in. You don't really need an edge rusher. I don't think you're pushing for a running back at 21 there. Emeka Egbuka to the Cleveland Browns at 21 now. Pick 22. This is another one that's pretty easy to me, and that's Colston Loveland, former Michigan product. They need a tight end. A lot of the receivers available at this point right now are slot guys. They've got Ladd McConkey holding down that role. They could go D-line, but I think it's Colston Loveland. He's reuniting with Jim Harbaugh at pick number 22. Now 23 for the Packers. Could go receiver, could go edge, could go corner here. Let's check this out. Receiver, edge, corner. I like Donovan Ezeraiku here. I think that is the pick for the Green Bay Packers off the edge. He's one of my favorite edges in this class. I need to finish watching his tape. I haven't gotten all the way through, but I really like him. And I know people are kind of torn on him, but I think this is where he goes. Green Bay, pick number 23, Donovan Ezeraiku. Now for the Vikings. The Vikings could use a running back. They could also use a D lineman or a DB. Let's go. I think I know where I'm going here with this. Walter Nolan. I was thinking him or Derek Harmon, but now I'm not sure now that I say that. Running back. Let's go with. Check this out. What do we have here? Could go Derek Harmon, but his ADP is a little lower. He's a little bit lower on the board. I think this is where Walter Nolan in right now. That seems fair for him. He's dropped a little bit, but he's so talented. Could put him on the interior of that defense. I think he could make an impact immediately. Walter Nolan there at number 24. Now for the Houston Texans. They need O-line, and more O-line, and that is going to be Kelvin Banks from the University of Texas going at number 25. He's staying in state just like Matthew Golden going at 25 there. Now for the Los Angeles Rams. They could use a tackle as well. Don't really think we have any tight ends worth going after right here. Let's see. Linebackers, corners. Got a couple guys dropping right now, by the way, as well. Could we go with Gray Zabel here? Could we see Trey Amos? Who else is? Yeah, I'm not seeing. I see. We're going to go with Gray Zabel here. We're going to go with a tackle for Matthew Stafford. They're loading up. They know they've only got a year or two left of staff over there. They got rid of Cooper Kupp. Got Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams at wide receiver. You want to optimize this offense. Kyron Williams at the running back. And the offensive line was not great last year. So Gray Zabel, the best remaining available offensive lineman. I think that's what they go with at the tackle position. Now for the Ravens, we have guard, edge, and DB. So let's put that in here. So we could go James Pierce. Shamar Stewart is one. Mikael Williams down here. I feel like Shamar Stewart or James Pierce is the pick here. James Pierce. I don't know with these off-field stuff like that. I think that we can get Shamar Stewart right here to the Baltimore Ravens. And then I think that we're right after him going to get James Pierce to the Detroit Lions. That's my prediction here. Stewart and Pierce back-to-back, Ravens and Lions. Now we have the Washington Commanders on the board. They could use some interior O-line. Tyler Booker, maybe. It's not a reach really right now to take him at the spot, I don't think. Let's see. What other edges do we have? put in corners as well. Running back. Where's Travion Henderson fall on here? That's what I want to know. They did not. They're not big fans of him. They got him right here at 55. I don't think he goes that late, but I'm not sure he goes at 29. I think this is where Mykel Williams goes. I think Mykel Williams goes to 29 at the Washington Commanders. Now we got the Bills. They have an edge need as well. They went wide receiver last year with Keon Coleman with their first pick. Edge. Let's see. Linebacker. We've had 3 edges in a row taken at this point, and it could be a streak of edge rushers being taken. Edge, linebacker, corner. They do need DB help. Could be Trey Amos here. He is 30th on the board. I think this could be Siobhan Ravel. I really like Siobhan Ravel a lot. He's coming off an injury. He's coming out of a smaller school in East Carolina. But I think that could be the pick for the Bills right here. Now, a lot of Chiefs fans really like Luther Burden. Luther Burden's in the slot, though. Do over Rashee Rice, but Rice is coming off an injury. Likely to get a suspension if we're being honest, but I'm not sure. Let's take a look at everything. I don't think they go Tyler Booker here. Let's see what they got on the defensive interior. I think this could be Derek Harmon. I'm going with Derek Harmon right here at this pick. I think interior defender is something they could definitely go after at 31. I've seen a lot of my Chiefs mutuals on Twitter saying this, and if Derek Harmon gets there, Derek Harmon's a hell of a player, and I think that would be a really good move by the Kansas City Chiefs. Now for the Eagles. I'm not letting Luther Burden slip out of the first round because I know they have Devontae Smith. I know they have A.J. Brown. People are going to say they don't need a receiver. What are you talking about? That's what y'all said last time in the comments on this. They can use a slot. Jahan Dotson is not a long-term answer in the slot, I don't think, and Luther Burden just has too high of a ceiling. They're in a position, the roster is so loaded that you can go best available here, and that is Luther Burden at 32 to the Philadelphia Eagles. Now on to round 2. Where do they have Jackson Dart? ADP of 41. Do you keep collecting picks here? Who wants this pick? The Dolphins and the Ravens, they're going too late. We're going Jackson Dart right here at 33. It is going to be Jackson Dart to the Pittsburgh Steelers at pick number 33. Now for the New York Giants. Giants 34. Could they go QB? Could they go tackle? Let's put it all in here. Defensive interior, and then corner. I think we're going to get Josh Connerly right here. We're going to get a tackle for the New York Giants. Thought about Jalen Milroe. I really did. So I think he'll be available here in a little bit. The Titans, they have their quarterback, now receiver, edge, linebacker. It's going to get a little bit slower here in the second round, guys. They're a little bit tougher. But I do think Nick Scourton is a good pick here for the Titans. They get an edge rusher who's got really high upside. He's 31st on the board. They get him in the second round. I'd consider that a steal. Now you got the Jags. Jags could go receiver, tight end, safety. Let's check it out. Kevin Winston, he's 29th on the board, but he's 72nd ADP. I definitely don't think he's going at 36 here. Could we see Jaden Higgins? Do we see defense again? Alec Ayamanor. I don't think I said that right, by the way, but I think we get Brian Thomas's teammate, former teammate at LSU, Jack Beck. I think Jack Beck at 36 to the Jags makes sense. You add another wide receiver there, and you've already got your defensive piece, your real big piece in the first round. Jack Beck at 36 is what we're going with now for the Raiders. I think we could go receiver here too, but I also think we could shore up that D-line. Could go corner as well. You really got your pick between Norman Lott, Trey Amos, and all Illick down here. I think that we're going to go with Trey Amos because this secondary right now for the Raiders is not great right now. And I think we're going to go with Trey Amos out of Ole Miss at 37. Now for the New England Patriots, they They got to go wide receiver here, in my opinion. The question is Jaden Higgins or Alec Ayamanor, however you say it. Seen some Kyle Williams whispers. We got a lot of small school guys right in this area. I think Jaden Higgins is the pick. I really like Jaden Higgins. I really enjoyed watching his tape, and I think that's what the Patriots go with at 38 right here. Now for the Chicago Bears, we went with a safety in round 1. Now we're going with Travion Henderson at pick number 39 to the Chicago Bears. Bang, they've got their running back. They've got their safety. They're hitting a home run on this draft right now. The Bears might be winning the draft. Now for the Saints, they could go running back. They could go wide receiver. Could go D-line as well. Obviously, we went quarterback in round 1. I think we're going to, I would say Tyleek Williams, but I believe he got injured in that pro day. I don't know if he's not a great pass rusher. I don't think that's the pick right there. Cam Scattaboo. We're going to go with Alec Ayamanor here at 40 to the New Orleans Saints. He cooked Travis Hunter 2 years ago. If you go and check that out, I think he's got a lot of upside. He's coming out of Stanford, not a big program, didn't really have great quarterback play, but he's the truth. Now, Chicago Bears again. The Bears, a minute ago with Trayvon Henderson, that was the Panthers pick. They got a couple years back in that Bryce Young swap. Now they're on the board again here, and they can get a D lineman, and that's exactly what they're going to do with Omar Norman Lott out of Tennessee. So the Bears, again, killing it right now. Now we got the Jets. They took a quarterback in Justin Fields in free agency. We went with the tackle earlier. Let's check out what we have in terms of quarterback, wide receiver, and then defensive interior. I think this is where we see Darius Alexander out of Toledo. I think this is where we see him go on that defensive interior. Again, Aaron Glenn, a defensive guy, kind of that tough, gritty mindset that he's got. Now for the 49ers, I think this is where we see Tyler Booker go, the guard out of Alabama. We've got a guard need in San Francisco, and Booker, obviously a high-profile school in Alabama, and he's a good player. He's not a first-round level player to me, but he is a good player, and I think he would fit well in that scheme. They nailed a guard last year in the draft. Now they got 2 of them. They still got a need for tackle and D-line, which will be addressed later on in the draft. Now for the Cowboys, they could go running back right here. They could also go with a guard or an edge. Let's check this out. Got Landon Jackson. Got Princely out of Ole Miss. I think Landon Jackson, I think he's too good to pass up there. He's 44 ADP, 39th on the board. I think that's where he's going. In Dallas, got a guard need. We got a need for edge over here. In Indy, then we got linebacker, safety. We got all sorts of needs in Indy right now. And I think this one is going to be Xavier Watts. I've seen some mock drafts with Malachi Starks to the Colts. Obviously, they missed out on him. They went with Tyler Warren round 1, but they're going Xavier Watts here at 45. Now for the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons, what with that edge rusher in round 1? See what we have available at the linebacker spot. You can go Carson Schlesinger. You could go Demetrius Knight out of South Carolina. Interior O-line. You got Tate Ratledge. You don't really have a guard need. You could go wide receiver. I feel like that's a waste of a pick, though. I think you're going with the linebacker here. And I think that it's going to be Carson Schlesinger out of UCLA at pick number 46 for the Atlanta Falcons. He's got some very nice plays on tape. He's a really good run defender. He's very athletic. So that's who the Falcons get. 2 defensive picks in the first 2 rounds. They're kind of loading up on offense the last 2 years in the early part of the draft. Now, Arizona Cardinals, you got that defensive lineman earlier. Don't think it's early enough for Tate Ratledge. Think this could be where you see Maxwell Harrison go. Obviously, he ran a really, really fast time in the 40. Again, for the Cardinals now, just like the Falcons, back-to-back defensive picks. Now Miami Dolphins. You got a tackle earlier on. Could go with a D lineman here. Could go with a corner. I think this is where you go Benjamin Morrison. Morrison has had some injury stuff at Notre Dame, but he was a really good corner when he was on the field. Dolphins can pair him up with an aging Jalen Ramsey over there in South Beach. That's the pick at 48. Now for the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals got that linebacker earlier. Now we're still looking for that presence on the interior. And I'm thinking it's either Tylee Williams or TJ Sanders here that we're going with. But I think due to health concerns, TJ Sanders is the play here for Cincinnati Bengals. We got that edge kind of earlier for the Seahawks. Could go interior O-line here. But I think it's too early for Ratledge. I'm trying to think of needs offensively. I don't really have a tackle need. We could double down on defenders here, and I think that might be exactly what we do. I don't think it's going to be JTT. I think we're going to go with Princely here. Princely out of Ole Miss at pick number 50 for the Seattle Seahawks. Now for the Broncos, you got that running back. Now you can use a wide receiver or a tight end. And I think it could be Xavier Restrepo right here. I actually like Restrepo going a little earlier than the consensus to Denver. He's a really good tight end. And I'm actually fairly high. Gosh, I did not mean to just do Restrepo. Let's pretend that I just clicked Elijah Arroyo. I saw the Miami logo. I did not mean to pick Restrepo. Let's pretend I didn't just pick him right there. I guess he's a possibility, but it's supposed to be Elijah Arroyo at 51. Elijah Arroyo, the tight end. Mark it down. Don't flame me if you think Restrepo's a bad pick, because that's not what I meant to do. I kind of brain farted there. Now we got Seattle once again here, and I think that we could trade with the Panthers, maybe. No. Okay, we got a secondary. Got linebackers. We got edge. At this point, you can overdraft, or you can just go. Let's take a look at the board here. Yeah, Arroyo's right there. That's who I meant to pick. Sorry. I really like Andrew Makuba. I think. Yeah, I think it's still too early for a guard. We're going with Andrew Makuba. Why not? He is an electric safety, and he's going to 52, higher than the consensus. Once again, now for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think this is easy. I think this is an edge rusher, and I think this is JTT Tuamaloa out of Ohio State. That's what I like there for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's a really dynamic player, and his edge mate. His edge mate, Jack Sawyer, is kind of falling down the boards a pretty good bit. There was people that had him, late first, right after the national championship, and I don't even know where he's 92 ranked, 57 ADP. Not looking good for Jack right now. But now we got the Green Bay Packers, who went and got an edge rusher. Now I think that they go with a wide receiver, and I think that is actually going to be Kyle Williams. People are going to learn about Kyle Williams. I think teams are higher on him than the consensus has him. That's where I have him going. 54, Kyle Williams, Washington State. Look him up and learn you something. Now, LA Chargers. They got their tight end. They could go wide receiver here. Could also go D-line as well. They re-signed Khalil Mack. Let's see. Let's check out Jalen Royals here. Eesh. 6'200". I don't know as much about Royals. He's played slot and outside. It's a possession receiver after the catch. Yeah, it sounds more like a lad, to be honest. I think that we could get Shamar Turner right here on the interior from Texas A&M to the Chargers. We're closing in on the end of the draft here, the end of the 2-round draft. We went with a corner for the Bills earlier. This could be an edge rusher. I like Braden Swinson here. That feels like a steal for the Buffalo Bills, who need defensive help. Let's check it out. Panthers, they got their wide receiver. they could go with an edge here. They could also go with a corner. I think Azareye'h Thomas is a good guy to pair up with J.C. Horn. Good young guy. And that's where I have him going. Carolina Panthers pick they got from the L.A. Rams. Now, for the Texans, could double down on O-lineman. You really don't have O-lineman. Yeah, and that's what we're going to do. Donovan Jackson, tackle out of Ohio State. We got 2 tackles on our first 2 picks for C.J. Stroud, who was pressured a lot last year. Now for the Baltimore Ravens. Got our edge rusher for them earlier. Could go with a guard or a corner. I like Darian Porter here. That feels like a way better pick than Tate Ratledge at this juncture. Darian Porter at pick number 59, corner out of Iowa State. Now for the Lions. They got an edge earlier. Could get a linebacker here. This is where Demetrius Knight is going. Demetrius Knight Jr. Lions doubling down on defensive picks early on. Obviously, that's what hurt them. They had a lot of defensive injuries last year as well. Now you got Hutch coming back, but you got an edge paired with him. You got Demetrius Knight at linebacker. Now for the Commanders. We went – who do we go with the Commanders first round? I'm drawing a blank. Mykel Williams. We went with the edge. So we could go with a guard, a running back, or a corner. I think this right here is Cam Scattaboo, maybe. I like Dylan Sampson. I think Dylan Sampson fits their offense a lot, and that's what we're going with at 61, Dylan Sampson. Now for the Buffalo Bills. Once again, Bills have an edge. Bills have a corner. What linebackers do we have available at our disposal here? At this point right now, 62 with your third pick in the first 64. I think you can afford to go best available, and I like Kevin Winston a lot right here. Kevin Winston, I think he could be a day one starter with the state of the Buffalo Bills secondary being at pick number 62 right there. Now for the Chiefs. They went D-line, could go guard, could go tackle, could go best available over the Chiefs, and I think could go with a running back. I like Quinshon Judkins. To the Kansas City Chiefs at 63. I feel like they're definitely going to pick a running back. I don't know if it'll be this early, but why not right there at that point with the value. I like that. Now for the Eagles, final pick of this 2-round draft, guard, edge, corner. We went with the receiver round 1. I think this could be Tate Ratledge, Kyle Kennard, Olu Oladejo, Tate Ratledge. We're going with Tate Ratledge at the guard spot for the Philadelphia Eagles. And there you have it, folks, on our 2-round mock draft. We only got page number 1 for some reason. Wait, we get 4 results. Yeah, here we go. Check it out, everybody. You got our results for this draft. We only got the first 32 on this picture. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think below in the comments. I'm sure I'll get flamed by some people for this, but until next time and until our draft coverage, we will see you next time. I'm Brady from Blitz Sports Media, signing off.